Hello and welcome to today's video. So today's video is a continuation of the 3-part series I started in the previous video I uploaded. So in the last video I uploaded, I showed you how to cut a palazzo pant, and in today's video, which is the part 2 of that video, will be on how to sew the palazzo pant we cut, and the third part of the video will be how to make a kimono top just like the one displayed. If you're seeing this video without seeing the part 1, I will drop the link to the part 1 on how to cut a palazzo pant in the description box so that you would watch that to understand what we are doing in this video. And if this is your first time on this channel, you're welcome, and please click on the subscribe button to subscribe, and also on the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you. So now what I will do, I've already ironed interfacing on the flap, and then on the crotch side I have measured the length where I want my zipper to stop to be 7 inches from the waist down. I've measured 7 inches and I've notched it. So I would open up my pant to the front side, and I've labeled it for easy understanding. The right leg I wrote R, and for the left leg I wrote L, and these are the front parts. This is the right side of the pants. So I've labeled them for better understanding. So now I have the left leg of the front part. I have the left leg, and I also have my zip fly, the one that I have folded in two. So now I will be sewing the zip, the left leg and the zip fly together. I will join the three together. So I would join them together. I've also notched the zip fly. I've notched the 7 inches point where the zipper will stop, and I also have my 7-inch length zip. So now I would place them together as you see me do. The right side of the zip, the right side of the zip placed on the right side of the left part of the pants, then with the zipper fly placed on top of it. I would arrange them to all start on the same point. The edges would be the same, so I would pin together. I would use a pin and hold them together and sew using 1/4 inch. I will sew using 1/4 inch allowance. I would sew the three together, the pants, the zip and the zip fly together, and I'll stop at the 7 inches point I have notched. So I have sewn them together. I've sewn them together. So what I'll do now is, you see the space between the zip and the left leg. I would move my fabric closer to the zipper part and then top stitch close to the zip. I'll top stitch close to the zip and stop at the 7 inches point as well. So after doing that, on the right leg, the right side of it, I would also sew this flap on it. I've also notched to 7 inches point, so I'll sew right side facing each other and sew using 1/4 inch. I'll sew together, and after sewing together, I will then top stitch towards the flap side. I'll top stitch towards the flap side. So after doing that, this part is optional. You can decide to, I'm just curving out this part. I'm just making a curve because when you see our pants or trouser, you always see this part of the flap is curved, is shaped. So I'm just making a curve, but this is actually optional. So after doing that, what I will do now will be to join the front part together. The right leg and the left leg, I will join them together at the crotch side. So with the right sides facing each other, I'll place one on top of the other and align them, arrange them so that they'll all start, the flaps will all be on the same point as you see me do. Then I will sew, holding it up. I'll go up from where the zipper stopped by 1/4 inch and sew together using 1/2 inch allowance, and stop 1/2 inch before the end of the crotch. I'll sew and stop 1/2 inch before the end of the crotch. I have joined them together by the crotch. I've joined them together. So the next thing I will do now will be to sew the zipper on the right leg. As you can see, the zipper is not yet attached to the right leg of the palazzo pant. So I would place them together, the flaps meeting each other, the studs meeting each other. Then I would place the zip on the other side of the flap and then sew on it. I will sew holding it together. I've attached the zipper. Next thing I will do will be to top stitch on the right side. I would measure 1 inch and then top stitch. I would rule out 1 inch from the start of the zip to where the zip ended and curve it as you see me draw out. I'll top stitch on top like this, and after that I'll hold the two flaps together. I'll just tack them together. So like I said, I've top stitched using 1 inch. Then at the back I'll still hold the two flaps together and sew them together so that they will be joined together at the back. For the back part, I have sewn in the darts I took for the back. There is no dart in front, and I've also joined together. I've joined them together, the back parts with the right sides facing each other. I joined them together at the crotch side using 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I stopped 1/2 inch before the end of the crotch. So now what is left is now to join the front part of the pants and the back part of the pants together. So what I will do now will be to arrange. I've placed the front side on top of the back side, so I would arrange them. I'll first sew the outer seam, the side seam. So I would sew using 1/2 inch seam allowance from the top to the hem down to the hem point. I'll sew one side using 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I'll do same for the other outer seam. I'll join them by the sides using 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I have joined them together by the side. The next thing I will do will be to join the inseam, the inner part. Starting from the crotch side, I would hold together one leg after the other. I would hold one together like this and make sure they are all aligned on the same point, and so using 1/2 inch seam allowance to the hem, down to the hem, and I will do same for the other leg. So I have joined all these parts. So the next thing I will do now, because I left some inches before the crotch, so there will be an opening at the crotch side. There will still be an opening at the crotch side of the pants. So what I will do now, I will hold the pants by the crotch, the zipper side, and the other crotch of the back. I will hold them together as you see me do. I will hold them together at the side and then sew using 1/2 inch seam allowance. I will run a stitch across there to close the opened part. Then I'll go ahead and hem. I left 1 1/2 inch hemming allowance for the leg, so I would hem the lower part using the 1 inch seam allowance I left for it. So next thing I will do now will be to attach the band to the waist part. So I'll attach my band. I have the band I have already cut out. I've ironed interfacing to it, and the width it unfold is 2 inches, and the length is more than the length I actually require, so I would cut out whatever is remaining. So what I will do now would be to attach one side. I would open the band on one side, then from the wrong side of the pants I will start sewing. So I would sew from one side, the right side of the band facing the wrong side, touching the wrong side of the pants. I would sew to the other end. So I will sew it to the other end as well as to the flap, the zip fly. So I've pinned the band the way I've just explained. I've pinned it to the pants, and I left some parts of the band before the waist. I left some parts to close up, and I would sew just that way. I would sew together using 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I've attached the waistband to the waist. What I will do now will be to use the band to close it and then sew on the seam I've made before on the right side. Now I'm folding to the right side, and I would also sew on the waist using the waistband to close the first seam and the rough edges. So I would go ahead and cut out the excess I have on the band, And then to make a neat finishing, I would turn to the wrong side and sew the edges. I will sew the edge using 1/2 inch seam allowance, then I will turn it to the front side and then close up as you see me demonstrate, and then run a stitch to hold the waistband. I'll also do the same thing on the other edge. So I have closed the edge like I explained. I've sewn the edge together. So I'll turn to the right side. See, I've turned it to the right side. Then I would fold and cover the seam I made before and then sew on the waist. So after attaching the waistband, I'll also attach iron hook to the waist to close the waist. So thank you for watching this video, and please, there would be a third part of this video, which is how to make a kimono top. Thank you for watching, and please give this video a thumbs up.